A very warm welcome, dear children. Today we will continue with blood and body fluids and circulation. We've already talked about blood, and now we will talk about the human circulatory system. Now, the human circulatory system consists of the blood vascular system as well as the lymphatic system. So, when we talk about the human circulatory system, we include the blood vascular system and the lymphatic system, right? So these two systems include the human circulatory system, and both these systems are closed type, right? So we have a closed circulatory system. Closed circulatory system means when the heart pumps blood, it pumps it into tubes, which are arteries, veins and capillaries, right? In open circulatory system, the blood is pumped by the heart into spaces in between the tissues, right? So that is called open circulatory system, right? So the blood vascular system is closed type in humans, and it comprises the heart. When we talk about the blood vascular system, what comes in that? The heart, then comes the blood and the blood vessels, right? What are the blood vessels? The blood vessels are arteries, veins and capillaries, right? The lymphatic system consists of lymphatic capillaries, lymphatic vessels, lymphatic nodes and lymphatic ducts. Now coming to the heart, the human heart, if we talk about the brief anatomy of the human heart, the human heart is located between the lungs in the thoracic cavity. So if we talk about the location is thoracic cavity, chest cavity. Thoracic is chest cavity. Where in the chest cavity? In between the lungs, right? On an average, if we talk about the length, that is the average length of the heart, an average adult heart is about 12 centimeters. So this much would make 12 centimeters, and the average weight is around 300 grams, right? That is, the weight of the heart is said to be about 0.45% of the body weight in males and 0.40% in females, right? And when we use the word adult weight, that is, the adult weight is measured, the age taken for that, considered for adult weight of an heart, is between 70 to 20 years. That is the adult weight that we talk about. So the heart is a hollow fibromuscular organ, and it is roughly conical in shape. So if you look at the shape, it is roughly conical in shape, right, or pyramidal form. If you look at the upper part is broader, right, and this broader upper part is called the base, right. If you look at the lower part is narrower, right, and this is known as the apex, right. Apex is slightly tilted towards the left. So if you see, the apex part is slightly towards the left of the body, right. Now there is a protective covering around the heart, and this protective covering is known as pericardium, right. So heart is located in a protective cover, and this cover is known as pericardium, and it is a two-layered sac. That means the pericardium is made up of two layers, right. Outermost is the parietal pericardium, and inner one is the visceral pericardium. The inner membrane is attached to the heart, and in between these two membrane is a space which is called the pericardial cavity, and it is filled with pericardial fluid, right. So, pericardial fluid fills up the space in between the pericardium. What is the function of the pericardium? It protects the heart from shocks, mechanical injuries, and also allows free movements of the heart. So, if we talk about the functions of the pericardium, functions, number 1, it protects the heart from shocks. So, it protects the heart from shocks, right, mechanical injuries, right, and allows free movement of the heart. So, there is no friction. Coming to the external structure, heart is 4 chambered. So, if you look at the chambers of the heart, right, it consists of 2 atria, that is the auricle that they have labeled, right and the left auricle, or the right and the left atria, and right and the left ventricle, right. So, that makes up the 4 chambers of the heart. So, if you look at it here, the 4 chambers are very clearly visible over here. You can see the labeling, the right and the left atria we saw over there, right, and you can see the right ventricle and the left ventricle also clearly visible here in this diagram, right. Now, the left and the right atria are separated externally by a shallow vertical interatrial groove, right, interatrial in between the 2 atria, right. There is a groove present over here that divides the atria or the auricle into the left and the right auricle, right. You can see here the right auricle is labeled over here, and this one is the left auricle. So, this is divided into 2 by a groove which is known as interatrial groove, right. Then arterioventricular sulcus is there, right. So, arterioventricular division in between the arteries, atria and the ventricles, right. Then if we come to the atria region, the singular term for atria is atrium, right, and of course, there is a right and the left atria which have thin walls. The left atrium is smaller than the right atrium, right. So, this region, if you look at the previous diagram, the previous one, you can see here that the left atrium is smaller as compared to the right atrium, and the walls of the atria are thinner as compared to the walls of the ventricles, right. If you look at the shape of the right atrium, it is roughly quadrangular chamber, right here. See, this is the structure, roughly quadrangular chamber, and each atrium has an appendage which is called an auricle. The inner part is the auricle, derived from the Latin word auris, which means ear. So, ear like, right, because the shape resembles the shape of the dog's ear, right. The superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, and the coronary sinus, they open into the right atrium. So, if you, this is the superior vena cava, this is the inferior vena cava, and the coronary sinus is placed here. So, that opens into the right atrium. The superior vena cava carries blood from the body's upper region, that is deoxygenated blood. You can see here very nicely, they have shown in the diagram, the blue colored blood vessels, they carry deoxygenated blood. So, if you look at the blue colored blood vessels, they are labeled here, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, right. So, these are the major major veins that carry the deoxygenated blood. The superior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood from the upper regions of the body, and the inferior vena cava carries blood from the lower regions of the body. Inferior is larger than the superior and carries blood from the lower. Inferior vena cava is larger in size, right. The coronary sinus, which is present here, it carries the majority of blood from the heart itself, coronary veins, they open into the coronary sinus, so that carries the deoxygenated blood, right. Left atrium is less in volume, you see the size is also less, right, smaller as compared to the right atrium, but it has thicker walls, right. So the left atrium is roughly cuboidal in shape and projects as the left auricle towards the left side, right. The left atrium receives oxygenated blood and the right atrium receives the deoxygenated blood, right. So the left atrium receives the oxygenated blood from the pulmonary veins. The only pulmonary veins are the only veins that carry oxygenated blood, otherwise all the veins they carry deoxygenated blood. Again, if you look at the figure over here, you will see these pulmonary veins, right, carrying oxygenated blood shown in red color, whereas the pulmonary artery is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood. And you can see here all colored in blue show blood vessels carrying deoxygenated blood, right. Then we have the ventricles. If we see the lower half, these are the ventricles, right. So they are present left and the right ventricle. You can see this part is the left ventricle, this region is the right ventricle, and the walls of the ventricles are thicker as compared to the walls of the atria, right. And the wall of the left ventricle is thicker as compared to the walls of the right atria. The left ventricle, we can say, is longer and narrower than the right ventricle, right. So they are about 3 times thicker. The walls of the left ventricle are 3 times thicker as compared to the right ventricles. Why? Because the left ventricle has to pump blood to larger distances, right, from the aorta to all the organs of the body, as compared to, so because there would be a lot of pressure, so the walls can bear that pressure, as compared to the right ventricle, because the right ventricle just pumps blood into the pulmonary artery, which takes it to one organ, that is lung, right. Next we see the pulmonary trunk and the aorta region, right. So the pulmonary trunk arises from the right ventricle. You see here, you can see the left pulmonary artery. Now all this arises from the right ventricle, right. So it arises from the right ventricle. If we look at this diagram over here, very clearly this is shown. You can see you can see the pulmonary trunk shown here, right, arises from the right. We can you can see the connection over here. This is the right ventricle and the pulmonary trunk arises from here, and it divides into right and the left pulmonary arteries. The left pulmonary artery is shown over here, right. So it divides into the right and the left pulmonary artery. The right pulmonary artery again is shown here, right. So that is what it divides into. And then the aorta, you can see here is this region is the aorta, which arises from the left ventricle, right. So aorta is the largest artery that arises from the left ventricle, and the pulmonary artery, the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood, arises from the right ventricle. Right side of the heart carries deoxygenated blood, left side of the heart carries oxygenated blood. Coming to the aorta is divisible into ascending aorta, that is going up, right, arch of aorta, this region is the arch of aorta, right, and the descending aorta, the part of the aorta, this side here, this is the descending aorta, right. Then the right and the left coronary arteries arise from the ascending aorta. This region, the right and the left coronary arteries, they arise from there, right. What are these coronary arteries? They arise from the ascending aorta and they supply blood to the heart. They supply oxygenated blood to the heart, right. If we talk about the internal structure of the heart, this is a dissected view of the heart, right. The ventral side of the heart, the front region of the heart, and if we look at the atria, right, let's see the atria here. This is the right atrium and this region is the left atrium. Two thin walled atria. they are separated from each other by the interatrial septum, right? You can see here, this is a thin wall here, interatrial septum. The right atrium, this is the right atrium, it receives the openings of the superior vena cava, right? So superior vena cava is here, this is the opening of the superior vena cava, and inferior vena cava opens here, and the coronary sinus, right? So coronary sinus is present over here. All these major veins, they open over here. The opening of the inferior vena cava, they are all guarded by some valves and opening, right? So the left atrium receives 4 openings of the pulmonary vein. You can see here that this is the left atrium, right? 4 openings of the pulmonary veins, that means 2 of the left pulmonary vein and 2 from the right pulmonary vein, right? So that is there in the atrium. Now if we look at the passage, I mean the connection between the atria and the ventricles, we see that these openings are guarded by valves, right? The openings are known as the atrioventricular opening, atrium, ventricular, ventricle. So in between the atria and the ventricle. So the left atrium and the left ventricle is guarded by the bicuspid valve. So this is the bicuspid valve. I'll show it to you again. The bicuspid valve, also known as the mitral valve, right? Bicuspid, 2 flaps, right? So that is the mitral valve having 2 flaps. If you look at the right side, even the right and the left atria and the ventricle, they are also guarded by a valve which is known as the tricuspid valve. Here, this is the tricuspid valve, right? So it has 3 flaps, right? From here, from the atria, through these openings, passing through these flaps or the valves, they stop the backflow of the blood enters the ventricles, right? So attached to the flaps of the bicuspid and the tricuspid valve are special fibrous cords, right? They are known as chordae tendineae. You can see here these cords are present, long string like structures. These are the cords and these are muscular in nature and they are known as chordae tendineae. So they hold these flaps, right? They are joined to the other ends with the special muscles of the ventricular wall, which is known as the papillary muscles, right? So they are joined to the papillary muscles. You can see these folded muscles over here. So these are the papillary muscles. You can see very nicely how the chordae tendineae, they are attached to these papillary muscles over here, right? And finally these chordae tendineae, actually they prevent the bicuspid and the tricuspid valves from collapsing back into the atria during the time when the ventricles contract, right? So that's about these valves and the cords. And if you look at the pulmonary artery, this is the pulmonary artery, and here you see the opening of the artery. Pulmonary artery is attached to the right ventricle. So the opening of the artery again is guarded by a valve which is known as the pulmonary semilunar valve. Even the aorta is guarded by the same kind of valve which is known as aortic semilunar valve, half moon shaped, right? So the valves, they allow the free and forward flow of blood, but they prevent back flow of blood, right? So the valves of the heart are bicuspid. Number 1 is the bicuspid. The bicuspid valve is also known as the mitral valve, right? Then we have the tricuspid valve. Bicuspid valve is present in between the left and the right atrium. tricuspid in between the right and the left atrium and the left ventricle, right. So bicuspid, left atrium and the left ventricle, tricuspid, right atrium, right ventricle, right. And then there are two other valves, which are the pulmonary semilunar valve and the aortic semilunar valve, right. So 4 valves of the heart, right. So that's about the structure of the heart, right. If we talk about the conduction of the heartbeat, we will see here for the conduction there are various valves that are present. The flow of blood, if we see the flow of blood, the left side of the heart contains oxygenated blood, the right side of the heart contains deoxygenated blood, right. So what is the passage that the blood follows is that the blood enters the right side of the heart carrying deoxygenated blood from the 2 vena cavas, superior vena cava, which brings blood from the upper part of the body, inferior vena cava, that brings blood from the lower half of the body, and the coronary sinus. All these bring blood to the right atrium. From the right atrium through the tricuspid valve, the blood enters the right ventricle, and then through the pulmonary artery, you can see the arrow here, it comes out, right. The pulmonary artery takes the blood to the lungs. In the lungs it gets purified, and the purified blood, that is the oxygenated blood, is brought back to the heart through the pulmonary vein, right. The pulmonary vein brings blood to the left atrium. From the left atrium through the mitral valve, the blood enters the left ventricle, and the blood is pumped out from the left ventricle through the aorta, right. Now that is how the blood enters and leaves the heart, that is how it flows. But the blood moving from both the atria into the ventricles and from the ventricles into their respective arteries, all this happens simultaneously, right. Now how does it happen? If we look at the conducting system, the conducting system of the heart is made up of network of specialized tissues that stimulate contraction, right. So there are specialized tissues that are present that lead to the contraction, right. There are modified cardiac myocytes that are present. Heart can contract without any innervation on its own, right. So the heart, it collects blood through both the atria and then distributes the blood through the ventricles, right. The action of the heart includes contraction, relaxations of the atria and ventricle, right. The contraction of the heart is known as systole. The relaxation of the heart is known as diastole, right. So these are the two ways it moves, and the atria and the ventricles, they contract alternately. That means when the atria will contract, the ventricles would relax, and when the ventricles contract, the atria relax, right. So the contraction of the heart is the systole and the relaxation of the heart is diastole, right. And one systole and one diastole, it makes up the heartbeat, right. Now the contraction of the atria, contraction means systole of the atria, it is activated by a specialized tissue which is known as the sinoatrial node, here shown with green dot, sinoatrial node, SA node, which is also known as the pacemaker. And what is the function, what does it do is, it spreads waves of contraction across the walls of the atria via muscle fibers at regular intervals. So you can see the arrow over here, it waves of contraction it sends, right, to both the atria, right. When the wave of contraction originating from the SA node reaches the AV node, you can see there is another conducting tissue that is present, which is labeled here lower down, that is the AV node, atrioventricular node, right, which is known as the pace setter, right, and this is stimulated and excitatory impulses are rapidly transmitted from it to all the parts of the ventricles, right, when it receives the stimulation from SA node. You can see here this AV node is connected down to muscles which come down and enter into the right and the left ventricles. These muscles are known as bundle of His. From the bundle of His, you can see there are some fiber like muscles that originate. These are known as Purkinje's fiber, and these are further attached to the walls of the heart, right. So the impulse, or we can say the excitatory impulses, they travel from the AV node through the bundle of His Purkinje fibers and reaches the walls of the ventricles, which stimulate the ventricles to contract, right. So they undergo systole. So the ventricles now force the blood through long system of arteries, and hence they must exert great pressure on the blood, right. So conduction of the heart starts with a neuromuscular tissue, the atrioventricular node, which is situated in the wall of the right atrium. AV node picks up the wave of contraction and is propagated by SA node, right. Through the bundle of His Purkinje fibers, it reaches the walls of the ventricles, which leads to contraction, right. So when the atria contract, the blood is forced into the ventricles, right, and the ventricles are in a relaxed state, in the diastole state, then only they receive the blood, right. Once the blood fills the ventricles contract, the atria relax. The moment the atria relax, blood enters from the veins into the atria, and in the meanwhile the ventricles, they force blood into the various arteries, right, the pulmonary artery from the right ventricle and aorta from the left ventricle, right. So that is how it works. Thank you.